here we go again, doing a little more squirrel hunting. But you know, this time I'm on conservation land at the Lone Jack Conservation Area. It's run by the state of Missouri. It's actually closer to where I live. But where I've been hunting out on my land, I think there's like 3 squirrels that live there, and they're so elusive. So I'm just gonna try some public land. I've deer hunted out here a few times. Very beautiful area. I came out here to bow hunt because not a lot of people bow hunt. You're not allowed to shoot single projectiles here, so you can only shoot shotgun loads or bows. That's it. So here we go, man. Now, one thing I'm going to share with you is I have I'm using, sorry, I got the muddy area here. Boy, it's real muddy. Find another path here. Gotta watch out for snakes around here too. It's high grass and water. It's a perfect combination, man. But yeah, I'm using a Typhoon 12. I got a 2-shot magazine in it because Missouri's a 3-round state for most of our hunting. So anyhow, I'm trying to make my way over to an area that's set up to deer hunt. And I'm also using a squirrel call this time that I picked up at Bass Pro. I can't remember what it's called, but they only had the one. So when I get out, when I can get it out of the backpack, I'll kind of tell you what kind it is. But I'm gonna give it a try, see how that works. Really beautiful here. Sometimes I would sit in this little area directly behind me, kind of in the trees, and just wait for the deer to cross right there. They always do, but somehow they're always too far away to hit with a bow because it's a big old field. But anyhow, I've also been going through the book of Matthew verse by verse. I'm going to kind of hit on that a little bit on this trip too. We can probably do that now while I'm talking. You know, we're going through the book of Matthew, and God has kind of put me in a place where I'm to do it while I'm hunting or fishing. So make sure I don't get any ticks on me too. I got a couple. This place is Missouri. Ticks, man. I always wear shorts just so I can see them. I hate discovering them later. I want to find them right now when they're on me. So we're going through the book of Matthew, and the genealogy portion of it is extremely important. A lot of people blast through it, but it's just been incredible to see. Every aspect of that genealogy has just been so beautiful. You know, just seeing how God makes a way despite ignorance of man. You know, there's still a way. And we've gotten to the place where Boaz gives birth, or Boaz begot Obed. Find a way through this. Gotta get across this thing somehow. Obed was just a game changer for them. You know, they were just pretty much poverty-stricken, gleaning the field for food. You know, terrible situation for Ruth and her mother-in-law. And they give birth to Jesse, or they give birth to Obed, and then Obed begets Jesse. And that's kind of where we're at. And, you know, of course, Jesse is most famously the father of David, King David. And these woods are so thick, so thick. So let me get in there. We'll just pick up those verses once I get to a stopping place here. But it's a little easier to walk, at least, man, by this tree line, because the field doesn't grow as high. There should be a deer path here in the corner of this field here. That's what I'm hoping for. It's been a few years since I've been out here, so Things certainly do change. Boy, there's a ton of deer tracks right here. Something's crawling through here pretty consistently. All right, I'm gonna pull over for a second just to read that verse because I got a long walk still ahead of me. Bear with me. All right, I'm gonna find a shady spot here. Matthew 1:1, the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob. Jacob begot Judah and his brothers. Judah begot Perez and Zerah by Tamar. Perez begot Hezron. And Hezron begot Ram. And Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahshon, and Nahshon begot Salmon. That's about, kind of where we're at now. And Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. Boaz begot Obed by Ruth. And Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David, the king. Now, before I get going again here in a second, I'm going to take this shade here because it's been a brutal thing. I'm going to check for ticks here too. But I want to kind of remind you that Amminadab and Nahshon, Nahshon was a military leader of Judah, the military leader of 78,000 men strong, like strong army. So Nahshon was born in captivity, and Amminadab his father, because when he came out of captivity with Moses, that group couldn't leave. So then when they, Nahshon was one of the strongest leaders, military leaders Judah had ever seen, leading an army 78,000 strong. And Nahshon begot Salmon, and Salmon was that generation that was allowed to go into the promised land. So he certainly would have been in the military. And then he connects with Rahab, by God alone, because it was only soldiers that went into Jericho. And then they give birth to Boaz, and then Boaz is with Ruth, and Ruth begot Jesse. And that's where we're at, is this, this thing with Jesse, because what's incredible about Jesse is there's not a lot known about him other than he's David's father, But, if you look at the time when David was selected by Samuel, in that moment, even he thought, certainly it's the oldest son. Certainly it's the oldest, biggest, strongest, oldest son. And even Samuel thought so, but their eyes were deceived. It was the heart that God was looking for. But Jesse certainly played a role in creating men who had a heart for God. And that's a critical thing that people don't, you don't just grow up being like David, raised by wolves. It's very... Even Isaiah speaks of Jesse. When Isaiah foresees, it is hot. When Isaiah foresees the coming of Jesus Christ in chapter 11, it says this in verse 10, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, who shall stand as a banner to the people, for the Gentiles shall seek him, and his resting place shall be glorious. All right, let me get back to it. So, here, Isaiah doesn't even say, a root of David, or a root of Abraham, or a root of Solomon, or a root of Boaz, or Nahshon, no, it's a root of Jesse. And the reason that it is a root of Jesse, and I kind of want to talk about that, what necessarily that Jesse was so much better than all these other fellas or women. It's just he gave birth, or he begot the king, David. And Jesus Christ is a king. So what they're saying is that the king came from the root of Jesse, King David. And that's very significant, very, very significant. So thick in there, man. I wish I would have put off on. We'll see how this goes. And now Jesus Christ will be king, literally, not just of Judah and not just of Jerusalem or Israel, but of the world. And this is that banner that Isaiah is speaking about. And it comes from the root of Jesse, because it's Jesse's lineage that gives rise to the kings of Israel and the kings of Judah. And that's an important piece, you know. It's not one, ooh, there's a trail. It's not one that should be neglected, that's for sure. All right, I'm gonna try to get in here. There's a lot of poison ivy too, but it is a trail. All right, we'll try not to get poison ivy. It's a bad thing about wearing shorts in the woods. All right, I think this is a good spot. This is a ton of oak trees around here. I can already hear something moving around out there. All right, so I'm gonna unload here my stuff, kind of get out that squirrel call and see what we can pull off here. This is exciting. All right, so here's my gun. Probably looks a little much for squirrel hunting, but there's just 2 rounds in there. That's it. Pretty darn accurate. Definitely reliable. That's what I'm using. 5-shot. I tried to find some 6-shot. Couldn't find any. That's what I got. Then I got the HS Squirrel Call. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna kind of try to get this thing rolling here. Man, it's pretty hot. All right, there's this little whistle on here. It's supposed to be like a distress call for squirrels, so I'm gonna try that. See how that goes. Here's something. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. Texan. Saw a big old deer run off. Wish I could have got it. I just had my thing went out. I tried to get it. I thought I heard something over there. I was just sitting here. I felt like I just got to go through all of Isaiah 11 just to really see this whole piece. 11:1, there shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. I gotta pause there real quick. Every time I'm out in wilderness and I'm reading the word or preaching, like I'm here alone, you know, like I know you're watching, but I'm not. Like nature, his creation, singing his praises. The rocks will cry out to the glory of the Lord. You know, it's just cool. His delight is in the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and decide for equity for the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall stay the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt of his loins, and faithfulness the belt of his waist. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the young goat. The calf, the young lion, and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. And he's talking about, like, just, you know, when Christ reigns, there's no pain or suffering or sickness or death. And that's all of his creation. It's not just for people, you know, it's really beautiful. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the viper's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. I wouldn't be surprised if the word of the Lord attracts animals. I'm just going to keep reading. Maybe this is better than that squirrel call. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, who shall stand as a banner to the people, for the Gentiles shall seek him, and his resting place shall be glorious. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left. That's us. I hear things. From Assyria and Egypt, Pathros and Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah. From the four corners of the earth, also the envy of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not harass Ephraim. But they shall fly down upon the shoulder of the Philistines towards the west. Together they shall plunder the people of the east. They shall lay their hand on Edom and Moab, and the people of Ammon shall obey them. This is where the justice comes before the 1,000-year peace. The Lord will utterly destroy the tongue of the sea of Egypt. With his mighty wind he shall shake his fist over the river, and strike it in the 7 streams, and make men cross over dry shod. There will be a highway for the remnant of his people, who will be left from Assyria, and it was for Israel, in the day that he came up from the land of Egypt. You know, man, I'd like to talk about that more, to be honest. I'm going to get back to Jesse, because I think there's a lot of insight into, as the remnant, you know, where do we go? What do we do? How's all this play out? I think there's some great insight here into what that might look like. But you just go back to how all this began, because what they're saying here is that, you know, Christ is going to reign on this earth, period. And here's how it's going to play out, and here's what it's going to look like. And there shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse. This is where it begins. This is where the kingship begins. You know, you look at all those other people and what they went through and what they did. it was really them just kind of living life. The stem of Jesse is where the kingship begins. I don't know if you heard that. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? People that aren't there. Sound like a squirrel was talking directly above me. I think he likes the word of the Lord. You know, so when you look at this moment in time, you know, the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, son of Abraham, you know, you got Abraham and Isaac and all they went through, and they begot Judah, and then Judah becomes, you know, a bigger group, and then he gets in, you know, goes to Egypt in the famine, gets enslaved, and then they come out of slavery and they wander around. They finally take Jericho, and they're finally settling. Like Obed was really the moment in time that they're actually finally, the Jews are settling. And Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. This is where the kingship begins. You know, it's awesome. I think I'll hit this call a few more times. Maybe pause for about 30, 40 minutes and pack it up. I still have family and stuff at home. I just snuck out for a little hunt here. All right, well, I got to get out in nature, and I got to try my squirrel call. Sorry I didn't get anything again, but I'm out trying. So beautiful to be out here, man. I haven't been out here in years. I think I said that earlier, but I think I'm gonna get back home. It was nice to get out and try. Get the gun out, lug it around. It's always good whether you get something or not. It's always good to get out. Got to see a deer out here, and this is where I generally would set up a stand too. Probably in that tree right there. Some of these trails right here. So that was encouraging. That was definitely encouraging for a little bow hunt, for sure. All right, back through the tick and poison ivy infestation here. This is how Missouri is, man, though. If you ever come to Missouri or the Ozarks, really, even if you're like in like Arkansas, you know, just so thick. So thick. But it's so beautiful because then when fall comes, real easy to walk around. It's like it's a whole different world. It's great, but once that comes in, it's in. But you guys, thanks for joining me. Goodness gracious, a lot of hunting to be done apparently, and fishing. I'm sorry I'm not getting much. Thinking all this, I've gotten one bass. But I'm trying out there. This is what God said to do. So here we go, you know, and it's really beautiful. I think a lot of it has to do with being out in nature. You know, there was that moment there when I was reading Isaiah. It just felt like I had this giant natural audience just listening and praising the Lord. So cool. So cool, man. And I started hearing things like, well, things, well, I don't know, maybe just branches bumped together in the wind, who knows, but it sounded like nature was coming out. Like they wanted to hear that, whether it was birds or squirrels or whatever. And I actually decided in that moment, if I happened to see a squirrel, I couldn't shoot it. Not in that moment. Squirrel coming out to hear the glory of the Lord. You can't shoot that squirrel, man. But I was hoping to see one, at least get it on film to show squirrels coming out to the glory of the Lord, man. So keep on joining us. You know, obviously David begot Solomon is next, and there's a lot there. That's going to be an interesting one. So keep on joining me. This is beautiful. I'm going to kind of quietly walk the rest of the way, see if I can catch some deer. If I can, I'll film it. So thanks for joining me. That was beautiful, huh? Just beautiful. Actually took a wrong turn, ended up all that thick stuff where I was supposed to go on that. Stirred that thing up. So beautiful. What a great ending. It's peculiar how every time I go deer hunting, when I start to hear something, I look and it's a squirrel. And every time I go squirrel hunting and I hear something, I look and it's a deer. Riddle me that one. All right, well, I'm almost back to my truck. So thanks again for joining me. Keep on joining me. It's so incredibly important we go through Matthew verse by verse. Because, you know, the church is ignorant to the teachings of Jesus on many levels. So it's important you fully understand it. You know, even if you've read it, to really study it out, you know, every word. It's awesome. So keep on joining me. And these hunts are a lot of fun too. The fishing trips have been a little more successful, but we'll just keep on keeping on.